Good morning, America. This is Sergeant Dave Matthews at gmail.com with the Remember the Fallen podcast on klrnradio.net, in which every Thursday night I'll be voicing for our veterans into infinity. I'm back with vengeance after the survival instincts of an 8-ton rollover accident in the Parwan province of Afghanistan in 2004, where I lost my 90-year-old gunner, Brandon Jane Wadman, who was sitting right next to me. Please Google his name to read the whole story. I emerged from a pile of wounded soldiers on Old Kabul Road and returned to the States with even a more enduring tale of perseverance. As I navigate through the riddled and troubled rapids of the VA system, I gain a new perspective that I will share with you with the fever of enthusiasm to all patriots across the windswept fields of America. You see, one of us can be ran off, two of us can be disregarded, but a podcast audience, we are a movement. All right, here we are live at the Remember the Fallen YouTube studio outside on the Sergeant Dave Matthews couch, therapy couch in beautiful Seminole County, Florida, USA on the Winter Springs Oviedo line. We're outside because we're honoring the virus, right? The coronavirus. So we're taking advantage of being outside and not being kind of close in an office. So we're listening to what the governor's been telling us all along. So right here I have a great new guest here. This is Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips is from the 180, and him and his wife created this band called 180. And Mike, you say you play for a veteran crowd, right?
I do.
You do? Okay, Mike. I know, Mike, how we both met was just a divine intervention. You were just sitting right next to me, and I needed someone to do an intro to my show, and that was wonderful what you just did for us. And we met because we had gotten in a little trouble with the law, right, Mike? So
yeah, a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, real quick, how I was sitting next to you, I got a DUI, right? And Mike, you have a little bit of a history how you got here. But first, let's talk about how you came up with the band name 180.
Well, Dave, it's like this. I was using the metaphor of like a car. I was traveling down the street, but I was going on a one-way street the wrong direction. So I had to do a U-turn. And that's an idea of my life. I was going down a track that was just horrible. I would have either died, ended up in prison, or just you name it. And I made a 180-degree turn. I went the opposite direction.
Well, congratulations, knowing that you're going now in the right direction. And that's the whole thing about Diversionary Veterans Group. What we're going through, we realize of our challenges, and we are turning around. And we do a similar mantra was with Wounded Times Org, and they use Clear the Road, get your bike back, get your life back, and that's basically what we're doing. We're getting our lives back. My drug of choice was alcohol. Mike, what was your drug of choice?
My drug of choice was cocaine, specifically crack cocaine, it's been a long road that has affected my life adversely for a long time, 36 years.
Oh my God! So Mike, what caused that this path of destruction 36 years ago? You were pretty young. So what caused that?
Well, I remember being, coming up. I had a mother, father, a couple brothers and a sister, and we weren't poor, we weren't rich, but we kind of, instead of buying things for us was one of the things that my stepfather did to show us that he loved us, he cared, but there wasn't a lot of, father and son time.
Okay.
It was quality.
Okay, so your biological father wasn't there for you?
My biological father, yeah, he stepped out on me. I tried to meet him again a couple of times, give him an option, and he just didn't want anything to do with me.
Well, I see here that you also found Christ. Was that most recently you found Christ? Or?
Actually, it's interesting that you say that, Dave, because when I turned 15, a lot was happening in my life. I had started playing guitar, and I was 15, and I found Christ when I was 15, and I also had my first experience with crack cocaine at 15.
Oh, at 15. Whoa, at a young age. So at least you found guitar, right? It wasn't just crack cocaine.
Well, I would say at least I found Christ.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, guitar has definitely been a motivator and very much of an encouragement in my life.
So how is Diversionary Veterans Court changing your path now? How is that assisting you?
To be honest with you, I'd been in jail. Jail didn't work. Probation didn't work. Um, but there's a lot of, actually, strange as it may be, there's a lot of care and love in Veterans Court. But it's directionalized me. It's given me second and third chances. One of the things that's helped me most of all, besides just the general care and the camaraderie with other people who are in that system and seeing growth in other people's lives, gave me the idea that I can do this too. And even though it's been 36 years, I one of the things that helped me is my Veterans Court judge. He gave me opportunity, by 5 or 6 opportunities, and I was testing positive for cocaine. And I was doing everything I could to hide it, to not use when it was time I was going to give a test or something. And I showed up about 6 times. He gave me a general warning. He gave me community service, then 3 days in jail, and then I started getting the point.
Yeah,
3 days in jail. And I'm like, wait a second. So those 3 days, I really thought about it. Then he gave me another 5 days, and I said, okay. And I thought to myself, do I really love to party more than I love my freedom? And the answer was hell no.
Right. And you said in class once you're counting the cracks in the ceiling, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
laying on a jail bed, counting. There's 5,331 cracks in cell block C.
I get it now. So, what advice would you give? Speak loud. What advice would you give to veterans out there that listen to the audience that might have went on the same type of path as you? What kind of advice can you give?
There's hope. There's hope. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a real light, and there's real happiness. There's real peace. There's real relationships. I had thrown some stuff away, and I'm picking it back up. I got my boots on the ground. Respectively speaking, my rifle is oiled. It's ready. I've got everything. My compass is on. I'm not where I'm going, but I'm not where I've been.
All right. Well, that's good. That's a good plug there. So you were Navy. So tell me a little bit about your little history with your military.
Yeah, I joined the Navy. I was partying here in Florida and decided I wanted to change. I wanted some structure. So I joined the Navy, went to San Diego, got trained out to be a corpsman, hospital corpsman, was excited about it, and then got in an accident, got thrown out of a moving vehicle. And after I healed, they brought me in and said, listen, I was paralyzed. The injuries, I had paralyzation in my legs. Of course, that went away. And my left arm, the elbow was out of joint. I still remember it like it was yesterday, them popping that back in. And they met with me after I recovered, and they said, listen, we don't think that, we're not sure that your elbow can hold up under combat conditions.
Right.
And so we're going to give you an option. You can take a desk job. And of course, I'm like 23. I'm like, what? Desk job? I wanted to get in the heat, and or you can go home with an honorable discharge. And I thought about it, and it didn't take me too long, and I went home.
Well, did you have a support system to talk about that before you made that rash decision? Because I know I had something similar, okay? Where I actually went to OCS. All right? I got chosen out of 300 soldiers, and I went through OCS, and I got through the most difficult portion of OCS, is that 2-week training. It's all physical. But I hurt my ankle back in the day. I fell off a roof, and I hit it from the military. And they caught me at the last 3 days because you had to run everywhere, and I was limping. And they said, Matthews, go see the medic. Something wrong with your leg, go see the medic. And the same thing happened to me. He said to me, you've done 9 years, and what I'm seeing with your ankle, I don't know how you're in the service. You have an opportunity to get out right now. And so I didn't have a support system that someone I could talk to, and felt that gave me the right advice. Because I should have stayed in that time too, and I did the same thing you did. I took the honorable discharge, and I got out, and I got to work with my landscape business, and I got it back to par, because when I went away for that 2 weeks, the guy who was in charge of the business, he took the money, didn't cut any grass, so I came back to a nightmare. So that was another reason why I stepped out, is because of my business commitments I already previously had. But I understand that you didn't have a support system to help you make that decision, because it's so important at our young age that these things happen. We need that guidance. So maybe that's something similar we had. We didn't have that guidance. So we're hoping that a lot of veterans out there, you have that guidance before you make that big decision that could ultimately change the path of your life. I'm not saying that your life's, where you need to be right now. It sounds like once you get this behind you, with the band going, and you have a very successful screening business. So you're on track, Mike. I just hope that you can stay focused on and just keep on going to the classes of the VA, like I'm doing. I'm disciplined with it too as well. And before you know it, I'll be out of the system and by August 21st. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there a certain date for you that you're looking at?
I think right now just finished the hardcore, real intense part of the IOP, and so I'm going. This could be the last leg of the journey. Of course, I'm not in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat on this, but it's 10 more weeks. It's aftercare, recovery aftercare planning. So, and essentially what I'm learning is it's not enough to learn how to stay clean, how to stay and doing the right thing. How to maintain it is very important.
Those triggers, right? I mean, we got to watch. We got to see those warning signs. We have to be scanning out the horizon at all times, especially when you're out of your comfort zone. Like you said, even like going to the simple store can trigger. Tell me about some of your triggers that can help someone in the audience to have some similar triggers as well.
Well, I can, doing a screen business, I do some traveling. I try to stay in Central Florida and local, but when I'm going through an area that I used to purchase drugs, or if it's an area that reminds me of it, I go through. It's gotten where it's kind of quick, where I go through this thought process. Oh yeah, I used to buy crack right there. Oh, okay, well I can keep going. All right, I'm okay. And then occasionally it'll be like, okay, well what would that be like if I went back and did some more? And that's the trigger, and one of the tools I use is say, okay, listen, after 35 years, you're pretty convinced that if you go and you use again, you're not going to want to stop. You may die, and you definitely can't serve other veterans doing that. You can't be in the service business and be successful in that.
So you're seeing that 180 is going to bridge you to assist other veterans and that are in need of services. So explain to me how the next level you want to go with your band 180.
Well, what we're doing, our short-term goal for this year is to tour Central Florida. We're keeping it in Central Florida, and as we're doing that, we're adjusting our gear, our set's getting better. But what I'm really wanting to do is tell the story from a perspective that the other vets can relate. It's boots on the ground, and I try to tell it pretty realistically, where people can understand and they can relate to it and know they're not the only one in that type situation.
Could you share that with us, that song Addiction? I would love to hear that. I'd love the audience to be able to hear that.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. We'll
Awesome.
pull a little bit off here. Just a lonely walk, nowhere that I should be. When two old buddies pulled up and said there's room enough for me. Well, we went to a place that I did not know, to try something new that would not let me go. With everything we do, there's a price to be paid. I left the high road, yeah, stepped to the shade. One's too many, 1,000's never enough. Yeah, she smiled at me, she drove that knife in real tough. See, I was just 15, my life was yet unseen. I strayed away from home, like a bird that had flown. I was looking all around, trying to find solid ground. The first time we kissed was a feeling I could not resist. With everything we do, there's a price to be paid. I left the high road, yeah, stepped to the shade. One's too many, 1,000's never enough. Yeah, she smiled at me, she drove a knife in her tongue. Yeah. I met her there, we steal, kill, and destroy to live. I take only what you give. You can't do me, you can't refuse me, but I can't let you live. You can wind me, you can dime me, but you can't take me home, because your loving mother, she's waiting by the phone. With everything we do, there's a price to be paid. I left the high road, yeah, stepped to the shade. One's too many, a thousand's never enough. Yeah, she smiled at me, she drove a
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. All right, that song's Addiction, and that's from Mike Phillip from the 180. Mike, that was a great song, and that's a recovery song for you.
Absolutely.
And definitely, you're in the recovery stage. And how do you see yourself a year from now with this behind you?
I see myself in the sun, respectively speaking, with light and hope. I see myself a part of my community, part of my fellow veterans' lives, a part of my wife's life, her a part of mine. I have a community of people that when I step out of the mandatory programming that the VA is helping me out with, that I'm taking over on my own and I'm filling in the blank, so to speak.
What kind of advice right now to end the show to give to the veteran that's out in the audience who has an addiction problem?
There's two things. Find people you can trust and let them in on what's going on, and ask God for help.
There you have it. There's some solid advice from a recovery personnel right now, military veteran, Navy Corps, honorable discharge, Mike Phillip. I want to thank you for coming out, Mike, and I'm looking forward to keep using your intro. Is that okay, bud?
Oh, you know it, man.
All right. Signing off, Sergeant Dave Matthews with the Remembering Fallen show on the outdoor Sergeant Dave Matthews couch. First time. All right. Signing out to all our troops from Afghanistan. Come home safely. Pop Smoke out.